Operation Wow with George Fraser, Trevor Ott, and Shay Brown. Thank you for having me, fellas. Coretta Scott King was an American author, activist, and civil rights leader. The widow of Martin Luther King Jr., Coretta Scott King helped lead African American civil rights movement in the 1960s. Coretta King often participated in many of her husband's exploits and goals during the battle for African American equality. That is her legacy. Hello, I'm Dona Davis, international best-selling author, life coach, entrepreneur, publisher, teacher, daughter, sister, aunt, friend, and lifelong learner. I'm going to talk to you about creating your legacy. I'm still creating my legacy. I have a question for you. What is your legacy? Since you're sitting here watching me, you must be building your legacy now. So I should ask, what will be your legacy? How will people remember you? What will you be known for? For those of you who do not know yet, there is a link to a private, exclusive, elusive Facebook fan page for us to communicate just below this video. If you have not done so already, just click that link, and if you are not already a part of the group, someone will let you in and you can participate with the interactive part of this as we go along. Take a few minutes and type in the private, elusive, exclusive Facebook fan page what you will be known for. Just one sentence. And how will your work help serve others in their struggle? Back in the 80s, the employment situation was much the same as it is now. Employers weren't hiring, and I was in a transition period of my life. I didn't quite know what I wanted to do. I was out of work. I had a master's degree in special education, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to go back into the classroom. I never really had a problem finding a job because I had multiple skills and I know my value. I decided I could help other people find work. I went downtown and rented office space. I was going to be a professional resume writer and typing service. I knew the job. I had the skills. I'd try it out. My office was on the second floor of the Medical Arts Building, and my window faced 16th Street. Every Thursday afternoon, I would hear this beautiful serenade of a saxophone playing outside my window. It began at about 1 o'clock and played until about 3. I loved it. At first, I thought it was someone playing the radio, but then, when I looked outside, I saw a very thin man with a saxophone case just blowing his horn. After about 3 weeks, I decided I'd go out and share my lunch with him and contribute a few dollars. You see, he was hustling. As I handed him a turkey hoagie, he grabbed my hand, looked into my eyes, and smiled his thank you. He ate it so fast, I thought he would choke. He took a breath and told me his story. Richard had a wife and 2 children and lived on the north side of Philadelphia. His son was in the hospital with sickle cell anemia, and his wife was unemployed. Richard lost his job as a carpenter for one of the major builders. He and his wife were in love with each other ever since high school. They were living a poor man's life. That's how he put it. A few years prior, his home caught fire. He didn't have homeowners insurance, and the family lost everything. For a while, they lived in a car, but that didn't last long as the winter season was too harsh for his wife and children. They moved into a shelter, and his daughter caught pneumonia, from which she never recovered. His wife was devastated, but she hung in there with him. He was able to pick up a few odd jobs on various construction sites around town, but since he no longer had his car, He couldn't get to work on the larger jobs in the area. He began to play his saxophone as a hustle. Richard had a new goal. He wanted to play sax in nightclubs downtown. Since he was always downtown anyway, he collected enough coins and singles to buy a meal every night and was able to keep his wife happy. She found a job in a temp agency and was hoping to find full-time employment. Richard never gave up hope. As the weather changed over the next few weeks, I saw Richard a little less each month. August was particularly wet and rainy, and I noticed he had a cardboard holding his shoes together. 3 weeks passed, and Richard had not been playing his sweet saxophone beneath my window. I missed him. Then, about a week later, he was back at it. He told me he had an audition at a club in 1 week, and he needed something to wear. I knew that they would be too big for him, but my brother was going to get rid of his clothes in his closet, so I asked if I could have his brown suit and shirt. I took them to work with me the next day, but I didn't see Richard. I picked up a pair of socks to match the shoes, and I knew it would be too big for him, but that's all I could do. I grabbed my father's razor and shaving cream from the bathroom, along with an old hairbrush, too. When I heard his sax the following day, I raced down the stairs across the street to where he was playing the saxophone for a crowd of people who put coins and singles into his sax case. I waited and enjoyed the tunes along with the rest of the crowd. I went inside the sandwich shop and waited for Richard to come inside. And when he did, he already had his hoagie. I already had his hoagie and a bowl of soup waiting for him. He sat down across the table from me. I noticed a rash on his face, but I didn't say anything about it. I asked if he had his audition already, and when he told me that it was that evening, I gave him the bag with the too big shirt and the too big suit. He was so appreciative, he shed a tear of gratitude. He took the bag from my hand and rushed into the men's room. When he returned, he was wearing the suit, the shirt, the shoes. He had shaved his beard and brushed his hair, and he walked with his head up. He was a proud man. I will always remember you as the lady who helped a broken down man feel like he was somebody. That's what he said to me. It took a lot for me to hold back my tears. Let me know how your audition goes, I told him. The following afternoon, I heard the happiest tune being played by a saxophone player beneath my window. Since I had clients to attend to, I had to wait until my outer office was all cleared out. That took a couple of hours. That's because my business was doing so well. That's good for me. When I went downstairs and across the street, Richard stood wearing a new suit, new shoes, a haircut, shaved, and he extended his hand to me, and we danced right there on the street. He didn't just get an audition for a job at a nightclub. He auditioned for a saxophone player position with a well-known international band who were going on tour that summer. Richard was now a bona fide musician with a job. To me, Richard's legacy is that he never gave up, even when his whole world was turned upside down. Richard redesigned his destiny and created a brand new legacy for himself. Now, in the private, elusive, exclusive Facebook fan page, type hashtag redesign your destiny. Hashtag build a new legacy. Michael Joseph Jackson was an American singer, songwriter, dancer, businessman, and philanthropist. Often referred to by the nickname of the King of Pop or by his initials MJ, Jackson is recognized as the most successful entertainer of all time by the Guinness Book of World Records. His contributions to music, dance, fashion, along with his publicized personal life, made him a global figure in popular culture for over 4 decades. But was his legacy tarnished by his behavior later in his career? Could he have ever made a comeback? You have the power to redesign your destiny and build the legacy you want. Now, go to the private Facebook page, the elusive exclusive Facebook page, and type in hashtag. You have the power to change your destiny. You have the power to change your legacy. Take Sarah, for example. Sarah was a woman who turned to drugs and alcohol when life got a little too hard. She was raised in a middle-class family by her father, who worked for the post office, and her mother was a stay-at-home mom. Sarah had 2 brothers and an older sister. Sarah wanted to be famous. She wanted to be in the spotlight. Sarah chose the life in the fast lane. She got pregnant in high school and dropped out. The father of her child didn't want to have anything to do with her. Sarah felt she had nowhere to turn. She felt she had no one to count on. Sarah felt she had no one to talk to. Sarah felt she let her parents down. One evening, a friend came by to talk, but it ended up with Sarah getting drunk and leaving her son alone in the house. The boy was only 4 years old. Well, a neighbor reported her, and she lost custody of her son. Sarah had reached rock bottom when she overdosed on drugs. She had been in and out of rehab and finally wound up in county jail, then state prison. While in prison, she had a chance to dry out, detox, get clean. It's a hard life she created for herself. What legacy has Sarah created for herself? That was the question her parole officer asked her 13 years later when she was released from prison. Sarah had no answer. She wasn't even sure if she wanted to go after custody of her son. He'd be about 17 years old now. He was in and out of foster care since his grandparents didn't take him in when Sarah went to prison that last time. Lance was on the same road as his mother. Sarah, now 33 years old, thought she had no real future. She traded her life for prison because of the choices she made. She had nothing to be proud of. What would she do? Go to the private elusive exclusive Facebook fan page and type in hashtag change your destiny. Then type one thing Sarah could do to change her destiny. Go ahead and do that right now. The truth of the matter is, Sarah is one of my coaching clients. With her permission, I'm able to share that part of her journey with you today. Sarah is not her real name. The story, however, is true. Sarah had an opportunity to begin anew. She has her whole life ahead of her. Sarah has the opportunity to redesign her destiny and create a legacy she will be proud of. She has the opportunity to reinvent herself and reconnect with her son and the rest of her family. It takes courage, and I know she has the strength to do it successfully. Sarah is a dragon slayer. Now go to the private elusive exclusive Facebook fan page and type in hashtag I am the Dragon Slayer. Type it on your Facebook page too and put it on Twitter. Hashtag I am the Dragon Slayer. I'll give you some time to do that. Donald Sterling The multimillionaire and owner of the LA Clippers basketball team was banned from the NBA, fined $2.5 million for making racist comments and innuendos. That is the legacy he created for himself. Condoleezza Rice was the first African-American woman Secretary of State. She was also President Bush's National Security Advisor during his first term. That is her historic legacy. What is your legacy? I ask you, how have you made an impact in business, in your personal life, in your community? Before I go, I want to share with you one more true story about one of my adult students. Michael was born nearly 30 years ago in the back alley on the streets of Philadelphia. His mother dumped him into a trash dumpster immediately after she gave birth. Michael was found by someone passing by who heard a baby cry. The man opened the top of the dumpster to find Michael wrapped in garbage, covered in filth. The man took the baby Michael and called the police. Michael wound up spending his life in and out of foster care, abused, misused, misled, undervalued, influenced by the street life, and finally in a mental health facility. And that's where I met him. Diagnosed emotionally disturbed. Michael was in a training program. It was a vocational training program for mentally challenged adults. He was not my direct student. He would stop by my classroom daily just to chat. I got to know Michael as the year went by. His mother, he told me, always showed up to take him out whenever his Social Security check was due. She made Michael feel obligated to give her money. She was addicted to drugs. Michael was a rehabilitated drug addict. He attended his meetings daily and stayed clean for years. His mother told him all kinds of sob stories, and he fell for it every time. I remember Michael as doing very well in his building maintenance training program. He won several awards for being responsible, helpful to others, staying clean and sober. Part of my job was to find job-related training for the students of this program, and I put in extra effort to find work for Michael. He will be graduating in a few months, and I didn't want to see him back on the streets. I set up 3 interviews for him. Michael didn't show up for the first one. He was afraid he would not do well, afraid he would be rejected like so many other times in the past, afraid he would not qualify, afraid of being afraid. I decided to spend my lunch hour with Michael 3 times a week. We spent the time doing mock interviews. I asked him questions related to his field, made sure he had eye contact, a positive attitude, a firm handshake. I wanted to be sure he was comfortable when he walked into his next appointment. I even recruited another counselor to do mock interviews with Michael, just to be sure. Well, 2 weeks later, Michael had an interview. We had practice. He knew the vocabulary related to his field. He knew how to complete the employment application. Michael was ready. He was also nervous. Michael bravely took the bus to his interview. But what Michael didn't know was that the man doing the interview was my friend Bill. I had already spoken to Bill about Michael. He was willing to do an interview with him, but Bill didn't promise anything. He said if Michael could fill the position, he would hire him. If he couldn't, then he wouldn't. That plain, that simple. Michael went to the interview. I went home. Well, the next day, Michael did not show up for class. I had no idea what happened. I had not heard from Bill either. I was getting kind of worried. The following day, Michael came into my classroom, sat down, and told me he was hired as a building maintenance intern in Center City. In Center City. He broke down and cried his thank you. My students all clapped and shook his hand. They congratulated him, and we all celebrated. It was a win for Michael. To this day, Michael works as a supervisor in the same company 22 years later. I run into Michael every so often, and each time he gives me that big smile. He's married with children. He owns his own home. He has disconnected from his mother entirely, and he is enjoying life. Michael changed his destiny. He has a legacy to be proud of. One more thing before I go. Go to Elusive Exclusive Facebook page and type in hashtag I am the Dragon Slayer. Hashtag change your destiny. For those of you who don't know what a Dragon Slayer is, a Dragon Slayer is one who overcomes obstacles put in their path. They overcome and they succeed. A dragon is the obstacle. I invite you to visit the link posted in the Elusive Exclusive Facebook page. There you will find a brief video that explains how your story can impact others in such a way that you change the way they work through obstacles they may be struggling with. So when you get there, watch the video and complete the form if you're interested. This is the project I'm working on. The title of my project is I Am the Dragon Slayer. I hope to see you there. This has been Dona Davis, and you can connect with me on Facebook. On Twitter, my handle is DonaDavis24, and on my website at CoachDona.com. Thank you.